Good morning. I'm Aaric Eisenstein, the Avian Rebbe, and I teach Jewish wisdom seen in the beauty of birds. Really. This morning we're going to be looking at a very interesting contrast. On the one hand, between resilience, essentially the ability to keep what we have, and reinvention, how we can make ourselves anew. And what we're going to do is go out to the park. We're going to look at some birds, we're going to wander, we're going to wonder, and at the end of the video, so be sure to stay all the way to the end, I'll give you 2 action suggestions on how you can take these lessons and put them together in your own daily life. I promise it's going to be different and it's going to be special. So now, off to the trails. Wow, it is absolutely wild being out here today. It's just a few days after a massive fire. The good news is it was what they call prescribed burn, where the fire department and the stewards of the park came out and essentially burned off the prairie. You can see all of the land has been charred, the grasses are gone, the brush, all of the things that in so many ways defined this place for me are now gone. Intellectually, I know it was the right thing to do, and in fact will actually lead to greater health for the land, for the plants, and in turn for the various animals, including the birds that live here. But in the meantime, I have to confess, it's kind of a brutal sight. There is an intention behind this. And the intention is that various invasive species should be literally burned out, creating space for the native species to again flourish. And with that, of course, comes the right habitat for all of the birds and bugs and flowers and what have you that are all going to be living here. And I will say that in the spring, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. And in the meantime, it's tricky. There is a question of resilience and a question of reinvention that is taking place here. I came out expecting that all of the birds would be gone. If you think about the food chain, it starts with plants, that feeds bugs, they feed birds. But in fact, that's actually not what happened. What happened instead is there are quite a few birds out here. Some of them have moved to slightly peripheral spaces where the fires were not set, and others of them are being very opportunistic, taking advantage of the opportunities that have been created by this fire, where things that once were hidden are now out in the open. And the birds are thriving. They're numerous. It is quite beautiful. This reinvention, this resilience of the land and of its place and of the creatures that call it home is the kind of thing that really makes me question my own concerns, my own opportunities to be resilient in the face of adversity and to reinvent myself when, as now, I am finding a need for it. There's an inspiration here. Even in the midst of this huge conflagration, where all the things that I expected to see are gone, in fact, I find that there is a greater presence. There's more here in some kind of strange way. But it's very, very real. I hope you're enjoying this morning's interrupted walk. Be sure to stay until the end. That's when you'll be able to see the 2 action suggestions that allow us to take these lessons and put them into our daily life. And of course, subscribe by hitting the little button below. And if you'd like a 3rd action suggestion available in my free newsletter, find the description information down below and subscribe. Join the flock. It's a great place to be. Ready? Back out to the trails. in about the year 70, the Roman armies had laid siege to the city of Jerusalem. And there was a battle going on. And the people whom we would call zealots were determined to fight to the last man, to force the Romans to burn everything to the ground. But there was one man, a rabbi, by the name of Yochanan ben Zakkai, who saw a different way. And while I think at some level he probably respected the zealots' commitment to their cause, he recognized that it wasn't practically the right answer. So what he did was he had himself smuggled out of the city, in a coffin no less, and brought in front of the Roman general, and through a combination of flattery and negotiation, and frankly, just being practical and smart, he persuaded Vespasian, the Roman general, subsequently the emperor, to take Jerusalem. It was going to happen. Take it. It's inevitable. And in exchange for that, he was able to take for himself and his descendants and disciples the small town of Yavna, which became a center of Jewish learning and of Jewish scholarship. What's so fascinating is that at an underlying level, there was an absolute destruction of Judaism's practices in the way that they had always been defined. In other words, the temple was now gone. Animal sacrifice, pilgrimage, all gone. Instead, what happened was the establishment, if you will, the reinvention of the practice of Judaism. And now, today, what we see in prayer, in ritual observance, in tikkun olam, the healing of the world, all of these things, all of these modern definitions of what it means to be resilient in the face of attack and tragedy, all of them owe their genesis to the wisdom and foresight of Yochanan ben Zakkai, who single-handedly, through his wise resilience, found a way to reinvent the practice of Judaism. And it's the reason that we're here today. It is a fascinating study in how even in the midst of destruction, even in the midst of unimaginable horror, if we are both resilient and open to reinvention, we can find ways to move forward into the future in a way that allows us to thrive. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this morning's interrupted walk. It was a little strange being out in this fire-blasted area, I have to say, but it really did give me the opportunity, and I hope you too, to reflect about what it is that we have and what it is that we can make anew. How are we resilient? How can we reinvent ourselves? That's what this is all about. As promised, 2 action suggestions that you can do as a way of dealing with the scenarios, and they're hard, where you have to reinvent yourself. Ready? First, make an inventory of who you are. What do you have? So simple. Grab a pad, grab a pencil, start making some notes. What is it that is intrinsic to you? Are you funny? Are you smart? Do you have education? Do you have experience? What is it about you that is truly you, that in no scenario can be taken away? These are the things, our character, our essence, that define who we are, that are the real possessions that we have, that are absolutely ours forever. Second, action suggestion number 2. What do you have around you on which you can rely? So for example, again, pad and paper, make some notes. Do you have family or friends or community or colleagues? What kind of social network do you have that surrounds you, that isn't you per se, but that is available for you, available to you as you need? These can also be incredibly valuable resources. I hope that you'll make a point of getting it down on paper, because there really is something about seeing the names, seeing the people that is, well, frankly, quite comforting. I've done it recently myself, and I've got to say that putting that list together, that actual kind of tangible expression of who are the people that I can go to, was incredibly valuable to me. I highly recommend it. And as I say, for the subscribers to my free newsletter, there's a third action suggestion. So go ahead, down in the description below, there's a link where you can sign up for free, and I highly encourage you to do so. Very soon, we'll be headed out to the parks again for another interrupted walk. I look forward to seeing you then, and in the meantime, be grounded, fly high.